So let's talk about business gifts real quick. Who's ever sold a business gift at the booth, like closed it at the booth? Okay, so that number drops significantly, right? So one of the things that I think is going to really help our program is at the traditional meetings. Yeah, I know Nick from there, but he's good for right now. At the traditional meeting, at traditional events, what we're noticing across the whole company is we actually, on average, sell more business gifts from our traditional events than we do from our industry events. All right. There are some good industry events, but there's equally as many that flop, right? Nick knows what I'm talking about. The Chicago one is what I'm talking about specifically. But anyways, so what I'm getting at is we're already in front of the business owners. Hell, we probably already all have a bunch of business owners in our database, right? Have you reached out to those people? Have you looked through the emails in your CRM and go, this one's like a business email. I should probably reach out to them about business gifts. Call them and check in, see how they're doing. Hey, by the way, what do you do for work? I'm just curious. Oh, you own a business? Hit them with a business gift pitch. That's one way we can get some business on the back end. Doesn't really affect the show team, but that'll help you guys out with some sales this year. But specifically at the booth, I know I've said this before, but every time that we're having an interaction with someone, at any point in the conversation, you should ask the question, by the way, what do you guys do for work? See what they say. It's disguised as a rapport question. So if they're, a teacher or firefighter or something that's not a business owner, great. It's rapport. How do you like doing that? That's awesome. You've been doing it for a while. That's super cool. Move on to the next thing. But if you get those people who are like, oh, I work at a bank. What do you do at the bank? Oh, I'm the CEO. Oh, I'm a lending officer. Oh, I'm whatever. Oh, I'm a realtor. Oh, I build fences. I do roofs, do floors, whatever the case may be. I own a Chick-fil-A, right? Like whatever it is, go ahead and figure out what you think that angle might be for them to give business gifts. And that's something you'll kind of learn over time, and you should do some research like independently outside the booth to figure that stuff out. But you should kind of be intelligent enough to carry a conversation with them about their business or their industry, right? And I think a really easy example is like home building industry. That's something I've gotten really into, and I can have an intelligent conversation with someone who's a builder or remodeler or whatever, and I know the lingo, right? Some of you guys may have a preference on different industries that you have a personal connection to. Maybe your parents or somebody in your family works in the industry, so you grew up around it. You just know more about it. Like Devin, for example, he's in PT school. He knows a lot about that industry, right? So if he talks to a PT, he's going to be able to talk to lingo, or any kind of doctor, really, because all the structure is the same. All the verbiage is going to be the same, even though the practice is different. So figure out what the general structure is of a business so that when someone says, hey, I do this, oh my gosh, that's awesome. So like, what do you do exactly with the company? Oh, whatever it is. Like I'll use Seth Robertson's, fencing guy, for example. That'll be the example I use this time. It's got the Birmingham Home Show. I talked to him. Seth kind of pitched some business skills, but then I talked to him about it. And, they build fences. They had a booth there at the show. So they were a vendor. And it's like, okay, cool. Like, by the way, like, are you guys pretty busy? Y'all do a lot of jobs? Oh, dude, we're freaking swamped. Ding, ding, ding. A lot of gifts. Okay, cool. Like, what do you think you guys' like average, just like everyday average job would be? And he's like, I don't know, like maybe 8,000 and 10,000. Like that's probably the average fence job. Okay. Do you have like any higher end fences you ever do? Like maybe, it's like a luxury client or whatever. Oh yeah, we'll do $15,000, $20,000, $25,000 jobs all the time. But we probably only do like 3 to 5 of those a month. I'm getting some good information by asking questions, and he has no idea why I'm asking these questions. But people love talking about their business, right? And I go, yeah, and you guys probably do like some service jobs, like some small yards or stuff like that, right? And he's like, oh yeah, but we have jobs that are, real small, anywhere from like, $1,000 to maybe $2,000 or $3,000. I'm like, cool. Hey, by the way, like, would you be open to a cool strategy to help you guys like brand your business and really like build a good referral network? Would you be open to something like that? Like, can I share that with you? Yeah, dude, for sure. Who doesn't love referrals? Okay, cool. I go into talking about the Cutco gifting program. By the way, what most of my business client, like my business owner clients do, if they're in the service industry like you are, or if they're a bank, I'm talking to a banking client, if they're in the banking industry, or if they're a realtor, most realtors do, like obviously mold the conversation to like them so they can understand it and feel special, right? Like makes sense for them. But what most of my clients that are in the service industry do is we'll give a gift, you know, at the end of a project, whether you do it, you like, hey, by the way, like you guys do your check-in like the last day when the job is completed or like a couple weeks later. Oh yeah, we do it a couple weeks later. That's something important to know. A lot of service-based industries do things different, or service-based businesses will either check in the last day of the job or like a week or two after, just to make sure, hey, did we do good? Is there any issues? But the number one reason they go, does anybody have any idea what was the number one reason they go? Referrals and a review. Reviews are golden to people in the service industry, because if Nick needs his fence fixed and he doesn't know somebody right off the top, by the way, most people don't know a fencing guy, right? Or a roofing guy, like right off the top of their head. They're going to do what? Google. Hey, they'll go to Google and go fencing companies near me. Whoever's got the most and best reviews get filtered to the top. That's how the algorithm works, right? So all these companies want reviews. And so they ask the customer for a review on the spot. They usually have a QR code or a link, or they'll even have an iPad, and they'll be like, hey, can you leave us a review real quick? That makes sense. They can do that. Also, hey, by the way, I got you guys a gift. You know, thank you for doing business with us. And this, by the way, this is a Cutco knife. I don't know if you know what Cutco is, but it's like the best brand of knives you can buy. And it'll probably be the sharpest knife in your kitchen. By the way, they're guaranteed. So if you ever damage them or anything, just let me know and I'll get my guy to replace them for you for free. Right. Hope you guys love this. By the way, we have them in our home and we love and use them all the time. So I just thought this would be a nice gift for you. And it's like a special touch instead of a gift card or gift basket or whatever. And you're explaining this to the client. You're explaining all this to the client, right? You're having this live conversation, storytelling about another client. It doesn't even have to be your client. Like Cutco as a company did like 70 million in gifts last year. Pretty big company. Use the company as like the backbone. Like, even if you don't know what you're doing yet, you can use other people's stories, right? Like, oh yeah, we do those all the time. Oh, we work with a ton of fencing companies, right? Like we do as a company. I'm sure there are several reps that work with a lot of fencing companies, you know, and so you can have that intelligent conversation, and they'll always bring up something like budget, and you can wait on them to do it, or you can bring it up and go, hey, by the way, like the cool thing is we've got stuff anywhere from like $100 all the way up to like luxury stuff that's like 3,000 plus. But most of our clients that are in like a service-based business will stick in between like the 100 to 300 range. And if it's like, if you've already had some inclination or some conversation with them and they're like, you know, we don't really spend that much on gifts, you can go anywhere from like 100 to $200. You can drop the range down so they're more comfortable. And just so you know, like if you like do advertising or you have extra cost in your business, what do? You raise your prices, right? So you don't have to do this, but what I've found with a lot of my customers, they actually tell me they just put an extra $100 on the job, and now all of a sudden they give a gift to everybody. Right now, you're not going to want to do that on your small jobs, obviously, Mr. Jones. But anything that's like at a certain price point or higher, it would make sense for you to give a gift. Right. So for my heating and air companies, theirs is like, hey, between 8,000 and 15,000, we're going to give $100 gifts. Anybody anywhere below 8,000, they typically don't give gifts for them. Okay, unless they're like a repeat client. And then 15,000 and up, we do a $200 gift. So you can do tiers as well, because some people you do more business with, right? And they move the needle for your company. But what would it be like for you if you had some incoming phone calls or some clicks on your website because their friend has a Cutco knife you gave them, they're in the kitchen talking one day, or they're at the Super Bowl party, or, Alabama football's playing, they're hanging out, and they're just like, yeah, drinking a beer, and we got to get our fence fixed. Oh, by the way, I got a guy, hang on a second. And they didn't lose your business card because it's on the favorite knife in the kitchen. They go straight to the kitchen, grab it, show it to them, boom, referral. Just so you know, especially here in the South, a lot of our families have gatherings like all the time. You got birthday parties, you got tailgate parties, you got, if you're in, Louisiana or down towards like even Mobile, crawfish boils. You got all the holidays, you got football games, basketball games, everything that's going on. And you can't be there at all those parties to represent your business, but Cutco can, and Cutco will be. And in all those things, the number one thing people do is eat and drink. And they will have to use a knife for something, I promise you. So it'll be out, conversation's going to get started. If you get a few referrals over the course of the year, it pays for your entire gifting program. So would you guys be open to like doing something like that for your business? See where they're at. Most people, some people you'll just close like a decent sized order, like off on the bat, right? But most people hit you with objection of what? Oh, I have to talk to my business partner. Oh, I have to look at the numbers, or oh, I have to insert excuse here. And so either when that happens, Emily, why are you smiling? Either when that happens, or when you feel it coming, is when you introduce the pilot program. Okay. And the pilot program, one, makes a ton of sense to business owners because a lot of companies have some type of pilot program. A lot of companies do. So people that go to industry events or go to conferences or anything like that, any continuing education, like they're used to hearing terms like that. So pilot program makes a ton of sense off the bat. It's great verbiage for them to understand where you're going with this. Have I told you about our pilot program, by the way? I think it's something that, could benefit you guys. Can I tell you about it real quick? Okay, cool. And then you bring it up. Hey, most people, you're basically like talking about them to them without saying their name. Most people, AKA you, don't have your list with you, don't know exactly who or how many gifts you would give, but most people know that like this is a really good thing for their business that they should probably do, and they're going to do eventually anyways. So what we're doing here at the show is we have our pilot program for you, and it's where you can start with a handful of gifts or a number that's comfortable to you. We can start the program. A benefit of doing it at the show is XYZ, insert a deal or a reason, whatever. And we've actually had a lot of people taking advantage of this. Now, if you were to start with our pilot program, I know we're looking at doing, like, for example, this guy, if I remember correctly, and this may not be exact stuff, but if I remember correctly, he was doing 3 to 5 good, like big jobs a month, and on average about 15 to 20 jobs total a month. Okay, so let's say he'd give gifts to a dozen because some of them are smaller. We also do our 6 pay, which I'm about to throw that out there too. 12 times 6 is 72. Right. So, hey, by the way, just so you know, how the payments work, or how the ordering works, is we typically try to get a 6-month supply for you. So there's not a lot of back and forth. You don't have to call me or email me or text me every single time you need gifts. We do a bulk order up front. We try to estimate it. We go ahead and send all the gifts up to you or to you on the front end. Well, you've got them, just sit them in your office, in a closet, on a shelf, wherever. They're already completely ready to go. Like, all you got to do is grab one and take it to the client's house. Okay. But what we actually do is we bill you over 6 months. That way your cash flow matches up. Make sure you use the word cash flow. Business owners care about that word a lot too, especially service-based businesses. So as you're completing jobs and giving the gifts out, that's actually when you're paying for them. So that pretty much matches up. Does that make sense? Okay, cool. So I did that for a second. Now we're going to go back to the pilot program. Instead of us doing all 72 gifts today, what number would you be comfortable with that for sure you would give out if we were to start a pilot program? Pause. See what they say. Someone will be like, well, I know for sure I know for sure I'll give out 40, 20, whatever the number is. Okay, great. Whatever number they said, give the price, close it. If they say anything under 10, go, hey, by the way, I know you said 5. Our minimum order is typically 10 first engraved stuff. And the reason I say that is because the business gift volume pricing sheet starts at 10 plus. So it's synonymous with what that says. So everything's like congruent. And then you try to close that. And I've had a ton of people that I bump up. They're like, I'll try out 2 today. I'm like, hey, well, 10's the minimum. Okay, that's fine. We just 5X the order just because I was like, 10's the minimum. Okay, we'll just do the minimum then. But there will be some people who are like, you know what? I just don't think I'm interested. I just don't want to spend that much money right now. Okay, hey, by the way, I know you said 5. Typically, we don't do this, but since this is your first time ever ordering with us, and I'd love to earn your business, and I think this is really going to be a good thing for you and your company. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll figure it out on the back end, and I'll make it to where we can do 5 for your first order. That way you can try out the program. You can get started. We can dip our toes in the water and go from there. And then what I'll do is I'll follow up with you, and I'll get some feedback on the gifts and what some of the responses have been, and we'll go from there and we'll figure out your next order. Another thing I've done is when people can't decide on gifts, this is a massive objection or confusion or whatever. I've had people that are like, well, I like this gift, I like this gift, and I just don't know. I just don't know what I want to get. Right? Realtors probably do that all the time, Elizabeth and Ryan. So what I started doing, something that makes them feel real special, is I'm like, hey, by the way, I can tell you really like this option and this option. So what I'll do for you, since we're looking at getting a minimum order of 10, instead of getting 10 of each item, if we do 5 of these and 5 of these, I'll count that as your 10. That way you can get a mix, you can try them out, right? And then if you want to keep doing both, that's cool. But when we have our follow-up call, our review, and see where you're at, if you like one better than the other, we'll just, go wherever you want to go. But this way you can try them both out. It's really easy for you, and you don't have to really make the decision today on which gift is perfect for you. And people I see the stress come off their shoulders. They're like, oh, thank you. I had a State Farm agent. I closed the Birmingham Home Show. She was literally panicking over what gift to get. And I don't remember the exact gifts, but it was 3 different 2-piece sets. And I was like, what if we just do 3, 3, and 4? That way you can try all of them, and then we can figure out which one you like the most. Oh my gosh, you can do that? I'm like, not normally, but I'll make it happen for you. And she was like, oh yeah, done. Let's do it. And all of a sudden, it was almost $3,000 CPO added to the order, right? Huge deal. Also, side note, so at industry events, we're taught to pitch business gifts first, residential is your fallback or upserve. At traditional events, which is what this group's going to be working, in residential first, offer the upsell on business gifts. And so what you want to do is make sure you understand how taxes work a little bit. And it can be as simple as, hey, if you engrave this, it's advertising, 100% tax write-off. And what a lot of customers will do, and this is what I tell them, hey, by the way, I know we're looking at this. I know you own a business. After I've explained the gifts and everything, if you add a few gifts on your order, it's not an itemized receipt. It's going to show that you have your logo on this order. It's engraving, it's client gifts or partner gifts or whatever, employee gifts. The entire order is going to be 100% tax deductible. So your stuff for your home, you can actually put on your business card as a tax write-off. A lot of people are like, hell yes. I would much rather do that because there's two buckets, right? My personal account is healthy, but my business account's way healthier. And if I can find a way to use my business account to pay for my lifestyle, I always do it. Every business owner does that. Like your business should pay for your lifestyle. Like that's just what they do. And is there any way if there's any way to write something off, you do it. You know, and I've upsold. There's no telling. Probably half of my business gift orders have happened where I sold them something for their home first. I offer the upserve, and they take it, and they're like, "Hell yeah, like it just makes sense. Why would I not do that?" You know. Does that make sense, guys? We've only got 4 minutes left before Nick hops home or Nick gets started. So is there any like questions about what I just talked about? Anybody on here too? Nick, did you learn some stuff, bro? He said for sure, man. Oh,
For sure, man. Yep. Yeah, I was sorry, I was muted.
you're good.
Good reading there.
Any like takeaways? Y'all are like all either super tired or stunned because I just did such a good message, or
I have an ad too. So just something that we do on like the realtor gifting side that I can translate it to general business gifts, but like Philip, when you're like basically coaching them on what to say when to give the gift, we actually have like a 60-second what we call gift script that gets sent out with their receipt and stuff, and it tells them exactly what to say. And this is like the realtor version. I'll read off to y'all real quick and then we can move on. So it says, I wanted to give you something to show my appreciation and say thank you. I know I could have gotten you a lot of things, a Home Depot gift card, or just some cake, champagne, or wine to help you celebrate. But those are gone and forgotten about so fast. And that's not the impression I want to leave with you as your realtor for life. You can translate that to whatever. These are such high quality. You will literally be able to use them the rest of your life. They're made in America, guaranteed forever, so you can even pass them down to your kids. Let this be a reminder that I'm forever at your fingertips for all of your real estate needs. And I even look forward to building you an entire set through future transactions and referrals. Thank you very much. So you can like write something similar, but it's so they know.
in the group meeting?
Yeah, I can. We had so many people over the years that were like, what do I say when I get this? I usually just go, do you know what Cutco is? And they just don't know. And so I was talking to basically Deanna wrote this and started implementing some things like 2017, 2018 when I went cross training with her and we started using it then. It's been good. Yes, I will.